Well, Cavs fans, it was the Ty Jerome show at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The Cleveland Cavaliers come off a loss a couple nights ago in Boston. They answer with a massive win against the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. We bring it all to you on this live post-game episode of the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI. Well, welcome in, Cavs fans, to another episode on the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI YouTube channel. Anthony Moeglin here alongside my partner, Spencer Spin Davies, who is live at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. He's pulling the late shift, the graveyard shift tonight down at the Rock. And Spin, an awesome win tonight for the Cavs, who were coming off a tough loss last night out in Boston, but they do what good teams do, take care of business against a team that they were much better than, and get a 128-100 victory tonight.
Good way to put it. It's a team that you had to get your business done against. They were missing half of their roster, had to go out and sign Alfred Payton today, put him in the starting lineup. Shout out to EP, by the way, almost had a triple-double. The old quadruple-double, I should say. But no, they did. They came out and just really did not play down to their competition. There were plenty of guys out for them too: Darius Garland, Sam Merrill, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Karis LeVert, to name a few. And as we know, no Amani Bates because of his knee surgery, and then Max Strus has yet to get back to ramping up, and I'm sure we're going to hear about that soon. But the guys that did play big time, I'm sure that we're going to get into Ty Jerome's career night. I'm sure we're going to talk about Jalen Tyson, playing alongside the vets and doing some really good stuff. So probably going to keep it a little light today, but doesn't mean there wasn't anything good to take away.
Yeah, let's start with Ty Jerome. I mean, just an awesome night for the young man. I mean, he's been playing really good basketball, but kind of in that shadow of Darius Garland as you're getting some friends up next to you. But he's been kind of in that secondary role, coming off the bench. But tonight was his opportunity to be a starter, to come out of the gates, be on the floor right away, and he took full advantage of it. Played 23 minutes tonight, finished 10 of 19 from the field. Scored 29 points, in the big stat of the night, he was 7 of 12 from the three-point line, 7 of 12 from behind the arc. Both that stat and his points at 29 were both career highs for Ty Jerome. And it was, one, really cool to see for him, the player, but two, for this Cavs team to know that he has that in his bag, I think is pretty important.
It is. It's good for Ty to be able to just kind of have the freedom that he's not really been allowed to have his whole career. He has been coming off the bench doing amazing things for the Cavs, backing up Darius Garland and also playing with them in three-guard sets, whatever they need, really. But he's just done such a solid job of taking advantage of his opportunity. And when he goes out there and he's able to let it fly the way he did tonight, took 12 threes. Every shot that was available to him, really. And he did a solid job. And it's been fun to watch just kind of the season that he's having. He's not surprised one bit about how well he's playing this year. And his teammates are really looking for him. They believe in him, and the coaches are encouraging him to do what he does best, and that's shoot the basketball and play make for these guys. So doing a really solid job at both ends of the floor. We've talked at length about how impressive he's been at getting these steals from behind and just kind of getting the pace up, and also playing a very solid kind of rhythm with a lot of the guys that are on the team. So very good game for Ty Jerome. Set his career high in the first half with 27. Only ended up with 29. So whoever bet 30-point Ty Jerome night's not happy tonight.
Yeah, not happy.
But Cavs fans certainly are.
Yeah, so even let's go back another night, right? Spin back to the Celtics game last night. And yes, he's got the career night tonight. It's against the New Orleans Pelicans, who probably aren't going to be a factor much of the NBA season here. But you go to that Celtics game, and Jerome, in the role that we're going to be used to seeing him in, gives 28 minutes off the bench, and he scores 10 points and has 5 assists. And like you mentioned, he was kind of a menace, really. And he had 5 steals, so that's 2 nights back-to-back for Jerome, where it's like, all right, you see him be that bench role, and now you see him be in that starter role. Hopefully you don't need him too much, because hopefully Darius is healthy throughout the season. But if you do need that, man, that's a really nice piece for Cleveland to know that they have, and to know that they got Ty Jerome, and he can play both those roles.
He can, and he can just like you said, he's a combo. He's a guy that can score first and foremost, but a great playmaker, has a lot of acumen as a guy that just kind of organizes and brings out the best in his teammates, which is something that's invaluable, really, to an NBA team that's aspiring to do what the Cavs are aspiring to do.
No doubt about it. And if anybody who's in here tonight, and we appreciate everybody jumping on in with us as we recap Cleveland's 128-100 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. But if you're a constant follower of this page and of Spencer himself, you know he's a massive fan of Luke Travis and Jason Tyson. Excuse me. But a big night for both of the rookies here, because Tyson gets the start. He goes for 37 minutes. He doesn't come off the bench, and you were in the locker room after the game. And Coach Kenny Atkinson had some really strong words for the young rookie, who not only gets his most minutes played, scores 16 points, and has 11 rebounds to go along with it.
It was a terrific night all around for him. He was just all over the ball tonight on both ends of the floor. Every time you saw that guy, he was just trying to scrap for it. Whether it was just keeping possessions alive, going into the crowd with three guys and just trying to poke it out of there. He was grabbing rebounds. He was taking 3-point shots. He didn't make many. He made one from the corner. But even driving on the baseline and playmaking, I thought he had some really good spatial awareness. And he had no fear whatsoever driving and attacking these guys. And there's a level of maturity to that. And you'll see on the YouTube page of the videos that Ty Jerome was talking about it, George Niang was talking about it. Pretty much everyone that we talked to, including Kenny Atkinson, was just talking about how the level of maturity and the IQ was really up there. And something that stood out to me was they started him with guys who have started for the Cavs and who have played for the Cavs. This is easily the situation where the Pelicans are sitting so many guys or down so many guys where the Cavs could have folded and been like, two-way guys and the young guys and the reserves, you guys can get the majority of the minutes. The core four, all of them will sit and all that jazz. But no, they decided to play Jalen Tyson with the Donovan Mitchell, with Jared Allen, with Evan Mobley. Unfortunately, he couldn't play with Darius Garland because Darius Garland was out tonight. But to play with those guys and even Ty Jerome really helps when you have that kind of veteran leadership around you and guys who are regularly playing minutes. So you can see what it looks like for down the line, or even maybe later this year, depending on what a situation turns up, that Jalen Tyson can play with these guys and provide the minutes that he wants to. And he wants to add an element to the team that they don't have. And he's willing to go into that role to do so. They, guys in the locker room were speaking to their admiration of him. He was a 20-point scorer in college last year, a go-to guy at Cal. And he has to buy into this role because there are so many guys on this team who can score like crazy. Donovan Mitchell's, the Darius Garlands, Evan Mobley's. Like, those are, it's not easy to accept that role, but he has, and he's embracing it. And he got his opportunity tonight. You said it. He played 37 minutes. He was joking with us after the cameras were off. He was like, man, I am absolutely just so exhausted right now. He was having a hard time putting his shirt on. But he was really relishing in the moment. And the guys love him for it. And quick little note too, that I asked Kenny Atkinson about that, playing alongside veterans. He revealed that it was his coaching staff, and particularly DeMare Carroll in the elevator, telling him, you got to start the kid. You need some vets around him. Because Kenny was apparently, having second thoughts about it, but they pushed him to do it.
And how cool is that, man? Like, for a number of reasons, right? Kenny giving his coaches the opportunity to coach, very similar to how he came up. There's a good story today on Pardon My Take for anybody who listens to the Barstool World. But Pat Beverly was talking about how Kenny is very much so a player's coach. And when Pat Beverly played with him in Los Angeles, Kenny wasn't coaching Kawhi Leonard or Paul George or James Harden. He was with some of the guys on the bench, developing, doing the things that are hard. And similar to that story you just shared with us and he shared with you, it's like, hey, as the head coach, he was thinking, man, I don't want to start the kid. Like, let's build him up. Let's give him some more time. And no, his assistant coaches are like, no, put him out there, give him a chance with the vets to grow and to learn this. And most importantly, Spin, to be successful. Like, How many times you see rookies get thrown into the fire and it doesn't go well early and then it spirals, man, and they get on this downhill trajectory. He starts his first time, goes for 16 points and was aggressive, like you said, Spin, right from the jump. The one play that sticks out to me, Evan Mobley on the left, or excuse me, on the right block, goes over his left shoulder for his hook shot that is improving. And I love what Evan's been doing, but he misses it a little strong. And who's in there? It's Jason Tyson, who just rebound dunks it home. And you're like, holy cow, it looked like Jared Allen almost. Like I was like, who is that? He goes and dunks it over somebody and puts it in. You're like, uh-oh, that's our young rookie, man. He might have some juice to him.
He does have some juice to him. His first bucket as a starter was a little tip-in.
Yeah.
So similar to what happened with Evan on the tip-in on that play. His first was in traffic, just a little touch shot, get the kind of juices flowing, get the jitters out of the system. And Jalen Tyson's just kind of all around, man. He's a ball hawk of sorts. And I mean, he started the game out 5 of 5 or 6 of 6 too. So like that's got to help the confidence as well for him to do that and really get himself involved. And he was playing the passing lanes well defensively. He was getting into the ball. I know that the Pelicans didn't have, the best of guys that were out there tonight. A young player like Brandon Boston Jr., who he helped force 4 turnovers on. Alfred Payton is absolutely someone who is grounded in this league and has plenty of experience, having played 400, 500 games, whatever it is. But this was EP's first game back in a while. So that kind of also helped the perfect storm for Jalen to get his feet wet in an NBA setting. So yeah, that's a big part. And, kind of wanted to just branch off of your point on Kenny being a player's coach. He put a lot of blame on himself for not getting Evan the ball nearly enough in the Celtics game, and made a concerted effort and told him, hey, that's on me. First quarter, let's get you going. And Evan, I think, had 6 or 7 field goal attempts in the first quarter that really set the tone for him. I know he didn't play very much. He played, 17 minutes. Same with Donovan Mitchell, who only played 20. Self-pat on the back for me on that one too, by the way. Called 20 minutes for Don. But yeah, with that just there, holding himself accountable. And I think that also kind of trickles down into the locker room and how they really see things. And they are very knowledgeable. They're open, and they're, just kind of not prone to, not overreacting to criticism at all either.
Yeah. You want to play for guys like that, and guys, respond really, really well when their coach doesn't throw them under the bus, takes responsibility in situations like that. All right, Spin, 2 guys that I wanted to touch on here. Let's first start with Jared Allen, a quiet double-double. J.A., a perfect 7 or 7 from the field, finished with 16 points, 11 rebounds in just 21 minutes. Again, it was take the load off the night for some of the core 4, but still get good work in. And I thought the Fro was awesome tonight.
Well, I feel like he had an offensive rebound every time he was on the floor. It was pretty crazy that he was just kind of in there, and the Pelicans didn't have any answers for him on the glass really. But it was all offensive rebounds and keeping possessions alive, and it was kind of fun watching that. Between him and Evan Mobley and Jalen Tyson, they had 13 offensive rebounds between each other. So that was a big part. And
there's one clip going around on X right now of JA and Evan just like peppering offensive rebounds back and forth to each other on one possession.
Like
really, really good stuff. You had a good tweet, Spin, during the second half, or probably closer towards the end of the game. The G-Wagon, George Niang comes in, volume shooter early, didn't have it, but stuck with it. Finished the night with 20 points, gathered up 4 rebounds, but 6 of 12 from 3, and 6 of 14 from the field. You loved how he just kind of fought through, and now he's played some really, really nice games in the last few. But tonight gets 20 points, and the night started not so great, but finished on a high note.
Most definitely, man, and that's what shooters do. They keep shooting, and he was a scorer off the bench tonight. Had 20. It's a season high for him. But it's just kind of continuing that momentum. We've seen it the last 3-4 games. He's really starting to find the outside shot. He was already playing well. He was cutting off drives. He's been cutting off drives defensively, putting his body into guys. And also the way that he's used that push shot to perfection, really, coming off of closeouts, and finding just ways to get the ball in the basket that isn't the 3-point line. And, as a passer, he's been doing a really good job too, playmaking off the catch and finding guys off the ball. So kudos to George. He fought through the rough start shooting and ended up with a solid game off the bench. Did a good job.
I really like it. Impressive, and a guy who you're going to need, especially early on in the season. He may kind of fall off later on in the year as the year gets long, but he's playing some really, really good ball for the Cavs early on this year. All right, the biggest one of the night for me, Spence, and we'll get out of here on this topic, but Darius Garland got to have the night off. It looked like he needed it more than anybody in America needed a night off. He had a tough one against Boston, and you just see some things, man. This schedule the Cavaliers has been on we haven't talked about it much. You're 16-1, and they've played the most brutal schedule to this point. Maybe not so much in terms of the opponents they face, but the volume of games they've played has been ridiculous. And Darius got to have the night off and some much needed and much deserved rest for the young kid.
Most definitely. 17 games in 28 days. That's just crazy. Finally, they have 2 days off, 3 days off before facing the Raptors on Sunday. And then, you get some rest between that and the next game too. So they're going to start feeling a little bit more fresh, I think. They all of them in the locker room were talking about how excited they were to have some days off.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's like, don't call me till Friday. Ty Jerome's like, no one's gonna see me these next 2 days. Kenny Atkinson jokes that he was gonna be in Florida. Like it was all kinds of funny stuff going on in the locker room and them talking about. But hey, I mean that's a lot, man. 17 games in 28 days.
It's a lot. And like you said, the upcoming schedule, they got 2 games in the next 7 days here. So they go Sunday night against the struggling Toronto Raptors, the 3-12 Raptors, the team we opened the season with up north of the border. So it'll be good to see the Raptors there. And then they follow it up with the Atlanta Hawks on next Wednesday, who the Hawks beat the Celtics a couple nights ago. So, Spin, before we get out of here, any final thoughts as you're leaving the court here, as the guys around you, they may throw you a hammer or throw you a drill to help take it down from the seat, man.
They might. I think they're getting mad at me, Anthony. but no, I thought that Luke Travers did some solid stuff in his minutes. Didn't even notice, just because it happened in the blur, but JT Thor ended up going out and getting 12 points. Had a nice little step fade in the middle of the floor. That was nice. And Tristan Thompson, 8 and 10 tonight. Kenny spoke very highly of him in postgame, so make sure you check that out on our YouTube page.
Yeah, as Spence said, get to our YouTube page. This guy, Spencer Davies, is the hardest working guy in all of Cleveland media, man. That thing is full of great content. We got podcasts rolling, courtside with the Cavs. We got all of the post-game interviews from Kenny at the podium to the guys in the locker room. And then you got all sorts of different pregame shows, post-game shows. So much content there. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for all of our shows. We certainly appreciate the support. For all of our written content, head over to our website, si.com/NBA/Cavs. You see the ticker going down below me. Go over there as our team is working really hard, covering this Cavs team wall to wall as they work their way through the start of this season, and they move to 16-1 tonight with a convincing 128 to 100 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. For my partner, Spencer Davies, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us late night as we bring you another show on the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI YouTube channel.